What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I am Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are bunkering down as we discuss A24's newest film, Warfare.
A platoon of Navy SEALs embark on a dangerous mission in Ramadi, Iraq, with the chaos and brotherhood of war retold through their memories of the event. Ben, how are you? How's it going?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk about this movie. I'll tell you that.
Oh, so fascinating. So interesting. Yeah. I have no idea what you think of this movie. I have zero idea. I put my my star rating in a very cryptic, like, one sentence review on Letterboxd. So you at least have some idea if you've seen that, or listeners if they've seen that. But you and I have not discussed this. Haven't talked about anything regarding the film, our movie-going experiences, which I'm always looking forward to hearing about on your end. Nothing of the sort. So this will be a very interesting conversation because I think the Alex Garland of everything. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot to discuss here. Before we talk about Warfare, we do have a couple things of housekeeping for A24. We did get our very first teaser trailer for Ari Aster's next film, titled Eddington. This movie is coming, and I want to know your thoughts before I share my thoughts.
I'm really excited for it. I think, listeners who joined us on that Beau is Afraid episode realize that I kind of set myself up for disappointment with that. Sure. So I feel like now, knowing that not everything has to be a horror movie from Ari Aster, I'm going in with the right mind frame. So I'm excited for this movie. Looks like a fun cast. Austin Butler, welcome back. I missed you since Elvis. So
welcome back, wigs. Like, big movie for wigs on people.
Lots of wigs.
We've got Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, Austin Butler, like you mentioned, Deidre O'Connell in this movie as well. I think this is going to be really good. Clifton Collins Jr., who is in a movie that I've recently seen, and it's going to drive me insane until I figure out what he is. He's from Westworld. He's also from After Yang, if you're familiar with this actor. Great guy.
Okay.
So on this movie, I think it's going to be really good. I think the discussion is going to be absolutely insufferable from people online, because it looks like it is, like, actually diving headfirst into things that Ari Aster likes to talk about. And of course, like you said, we all know what happened with Beau is Afraid, and we know what that pivot kind of did to Ari and kind of the fan base of what he makes. So I think this movie will cause consternation. It looks really good. I think the teaser, really good teaser. 1 minute and 3 seconds long. Absolutely doesn't really tell you anything. We're having a standoff between a sheriff and a mayor of a town during COVID and how they're tackling COVID. I think it looks awesome. Austin Butler, you mentioned, it back kind of in his, like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood era, it appears, being crazy. And no Emma Stone in this trailer. Am I correct? I watched it a couple days ago.
We saw her for a little bit.
Okay.
She's like, I want to, like, refute everything my husband said, or something like that.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Interested to learn who her husband is in this movie, because she's just, like, credited as Louise. There's no last name for her character.
Yeah. Well, Joaquin Phoenix is credited as Joe. Joe and Louise seems like it could happen.
Could be. Yeah. Who knows?
Austin Butler's character's name is Vernon Jefferson Peake. That's going to be good. It's just going to be good shit from Butler in this movie, really.
It's good. Yeah, that's got to be a fun character. If you give a character a name like that, like, it's just got to be a good character. Yeah,
it's got to be good. We talked about this, I think, prior to our little break, but we are way overdue for a Beau is Afraid rewatch.
Are we? Is it?
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes, we are. What are you talking about?
If the people want it, we can make it happen. But
I thought you agreed to this. I'm pretty sure you were like, yes, we can do that.
That was in my youth. I said I would do that. I'm a much older person now, so.
Younger and more immature for those 4 months ago.
Foolish.
For sure. Every time I see somebody talk about Beau is Afraid and now that Ari Aster is coming back, I do think as Eddington kind of like gears up to come out, that it would be wise for us to revisit Beau is Afraid, and I think revisit some Ari Aster movies. Currently slated to release July 18th, 2025. So it's a big summer movie.
Big summer movie.
Which makes me question, can we go on this journey together real quick? Beau is Afraid wiki. I'm curious, when did Beau is Afraid get a theatrical release? April 14th. So not a summer movie. Little bit less faith in the Beau is Afraid experiment, a movie that at the time was A24's most expensive movie at $35 million. Yeah. And now we're bumping Aster to a July slot after a premiere at Cannes in May. Which leads me to my other piece of housekeeping. A24 has 3 movies premiering at Cannes. Eddington is one of them. Of course, Cannes is happening May 13th through the 24th. Ari Aster's Eddington going to Cannes. Spike Lee's Highest to Lowest going to Cannes as well. And then Harry Leighton's Pillion, which I don't know anything about this film. Have you heard about this movie?
No, this is the first I've heard about it, so I have no clue.
It's starring Alexander Skarsgård and Harry Melling.
Okay.
A directionless man is swept off his feet when an enigmatic and possibly handsome biker takes him on as his submissive. Oh,
gotcha.
That's gonna get weird. Alexander Skarsgård, I don't know if you remember, but the press that he did for Infinity Pool, where he wore the dog collar with Mia Goth, he's a weird little freak. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
I think it'll be good. Harry Melling, people may know better as Dudley Dursley from the Harry Potter series. So I'm excited to see what he will do in this as well. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the response is to that movie.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know off the top of my head how many movies A24 had last year at Cannes. So 3 is interesting to me that they already have 3 going into the festival.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm curious how everything is received, but I am so curious about Highest to Lowest, because taking a film like High and Low and remaking it, I know it's with Denzel and Spike Lee's like a great director, but you know, he did do the Old Boy remake, which is like unnecessary and not great. So I'm a little skeptical about Highest to Lowest, but I want it to be fantastic.
It looks like Highest to Lowest is also an Apple Original Films release, which, I mean, 2 sides of the coin here for Apple Original Films. Of course, we've got F1 coming out this summer from Apple. We saw Killers of the Flower Moon. We saw Marty go to Apple. We've seen a lot of people go to Apple to get things made. We saw Ridley Scott go to Apple to get Napoleon made. Now, the flip side of that coin, and why I bring this up, is because what we've seen with A24 and Apple, we know they kind of have like this little, like, I guess, companionship, you could say, about their films, and they have in the past. The ones that go through Apple, generally not the best from what we've seen.
Yeah, and we can also pretty much guarantee we're not getting a physical release of it.
Absolutely not. No,
which is also not a bummer. Yeah,
huge bummer. Matthew Libatique is the cinematographer of this film, and I just want to point out, guess what Matthew Libatique shot?
Hit me.
Maestro. That's my fucking boy.
Is your boy.
That's my boy. Let's go. He also shot Birds of Prey. Kind of sick. This guy's got an incredible resume. Obviously, he's worked with Spike Lee before on Inside Man and all kinds of movies that he has made. So, yeah, can you give me a ranking right now off the cuff? 1, 2, and 3. You're excited. Like, how's your excitement for these 3 films? What are you most excited for?
Man, probably Eddington, and then Highest to Lowest, then Pillion. Just because I didn't know anything about Pillion before this, but it's probably in that order. What about you?
Okay, we match on the 1. I'm definitely Eddington pilled. It seems like when the teaser came out, it was received quite well on social media. So I'm really hoping that people kind of stick in for this. I would go Pillion next, just because I'm like a nice kind of sexual movie freak, and that's kind of my jam. and then Spike Lee's. But the only reason that Spike Lee's highest to lowest is last is A, because I haven't seen the original, and B, my Spike Lee filmography is weak. And so I'm not part of the hive yet, you know?
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but it's the reality.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So those are the housekeeping things for A24. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that you can think of? How weird Joaquin Phoenix is going to be in Eddington after Beau was Afraid? Like, I think it's just he's going to get weirder.
Yeah, it's going to be really strange. Man, I don't know what else. I'm still scared about the Philippou brothers in their new movie.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Have you seen that trailer yet in a theater? Did it play before Warfare? This is a great segue into Warfare.
It did, actually. It did play before it, and it freaked me out even more. I was like, oh, this isn't just on my computer screen. This is like taking over everything.
Yes.
It looked intense. But I also saw the trailer for Friendship, and I just can't wait for that to come out. So I'm looking forward to both, but for different reasons, for sure.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but I will say every time I see the trailer to Friendship in theaters, I kind of just want to like look around and be like, guys, I've seen that movie. It's really good. You should go. Like, you know, I kind of just want to let people know like it's the real deal kind of a movie. I also got the trailer for Bring Her Back. I got the trailer for Friendship before Warfare, and Bring Her Back looks incredibly scary. Interesting because it seems like it's going to be a very strong year for horror. Today, the day we are recording, we got our very first like promo material for Zach Cregger's new movie Weapons, which is supposedly set in the same universe as Barbarian, and of course he directed Barbarian as well. And it is about basically a schoolhouse full of children that just go missing, and nobody knows why, nobody knows where. And the material looks to be very similar in marketing terms to like Blair Witch Project. They're just like doing weird shit and making scary websites. So I'm excited for horror. Of course, Final Destination's Bloodlines also coming out this year. Like a lot of good stuff in the pipeline. Bring Her Back looks absolutely horrific. I can't wait for our conversation, but I don't want to have it, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's gonna be a fun conversation. I mean, they're 1 for 1, and they're a strong 1 for 1 for me, which talk to me. So going in very optimistic.
Yeah, strong 1 for 1. Agreed on that front. So I think it'll be pretty good. Speaking of Warfare, speaking of trailers, I am curious how you saw this movie. I think this is a good place to start our conversation because Warfare is a movie. Really, it's made for theaters. It's made for loud sound. It is made for a big screen. Yeah. So what was your viewing experience like? Please tell me nobody was in your theater talking or howling or doing other things than watching this film.
It was a pretty good crowd, to be honest. Like it wasn't that bad. There were a couple girls behind in the row behind me that were talking throughout the trailers. And I think people probably have mixed feelings on that. For me, once the trailers start, the movie has started. Like,
agreed.
I'm not on my phone anymore. I'm not like that. Like it has started.
I agree, except for the fact that I did send you a picture of the Mission Impossible Final Reckoning trailer that was happening, and it was just like, holy fuck. Like, I can't wait for this movie.
I did also get that trailer, and that was fantastic. It was so good to see that. So yeah, no, overall they were good throughout the movie. It was just the trailers. They kept chatting, which made me worried. So yeah, great experience. No complaints at all. It was fantastic. I had the entire row to myself. Not great for the box office, but you know, it was 6 o'clock on a Monday, so I can't expect a ton of people to be there. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you?
That's pretty positive. That's pretty positive. Yeah. I'm happy for you because generally I come prepared to hear tales of woe and worry about your experience. Similar situation. I was in a really big theater. I went to a brand new theater, brand new screen this time.
Okay.
This is kind of why I wanted to talk about this because I want to kind of hash out how I feel about this. So I'm a Regal guy. I have Regal Unlimited. And the only reason I will state right now, plain and clear, the only reason I have Regal Unlimited is because there are no AMCs that are closer than 20 minutes. The Regal that I go to, about 11 minutes down the road, half the time. So it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, the only technical IMAX screen that exists in the city limits of Portland is at a Regal theater.
Mm.
So it kind of just makes sense. Now, having stated that, Regal, for some reason, was only showing Warfare during the IMAX preview night, which was like a Wednesday. And they did like
Oh.
the one night only situation for IMAX. I couldn't go. So when I learned that I wasn't going to be able to see this IMAX, I quite honestly, I was just like almost let's scrap the pod because like if I'm not seeing this IMAX, why am I seeing this
Mhm.
movie? Kind of an idea. But then I looked, there's an AMC about 25 minutes away from me. And I was like, you know what? A24 pulled through with the free ticket for an AMC screening. And I always forget about this. And if you're a member of this club, you get a free movie ticket essentially for every new movie that comes out. And so I was like, okay, let's see if I can swing it. And so basically I went to the website of that AMC and I found out they don't have an IMAX screen, but they have what's called a GLX. Have you ever gone to a GLX screen?
I don't know that I have.
Okay. Do you normally go to an AMC?
No, I go to a Cinemark. I'm in the same boat with you. Is like there's not an
Yeah.
AMC within 20 minutes of where I'm at. So
Yeah.
I think it's a kind of local. I don't know for sure, but I do Cinemark.
Okay. So it's actually a GXL screen. Excuse me.
Okay.
So it is essentially their in-house version of what Regal has, which is RPX, Regal Premier Experience, or Cinemark's like XD. They all kind of have these in-house, like a notch below IMAX, right? Because they can't brand out that IMAX brand.
Yeah.
But basically, the caveat with GXL is it's a really big screen. It's actually almost as big as the IMAX screen that's in Portland, which is a very, very small IMAX screen, I will say. So it's like a really large screen. It's a humongous theater. It's bigger than the IMAX theater at my Regal by like almost twice the size. It is humongous. And the only thing quality-wise is that it's a single projector where IMAX is a double projector.
Okay.
And the GXL actually has Atmos Dolby sound. And the IMAX, of course, has IMAX sound. So that's as nerdy as I can get about that because I don't know anything more than that, even though I've watched the Ryan Coogler Sinners Kodak video like 18 times. But I decided to go and I was like, let's try this out because I wanted the best sound. I wanted the maximum like sound. And I never see things in Dolby Atmos. It rocked. It was awesome. It was really cool. And that's why I sent you a picture of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning trailer, because I was just like, God damn, this looks so good. This screen is like pretty large. The sound is incredible. And it's only like me and 7 other people in this theater. Bad for the box office, not ideal. It was Sunday night at 9:30. So I get it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people showing out for Warfare, but it sounded immaculate. I did have a couple talking through the teasers and the trailers. So same situation. I got a little bit nervous, but as soon as the movie started, we were gold. We were good to go.
Nice.
I also got a free Dippin' Dots because I'm an AMC investor. So
Okay.
I gotta be honest with you. It was a all around A+ experience at
Love it.
AMC. So I might be going back. And I might have to figure out how to swing that long drive time to make that work because it was pretty good. Having said all of that, Warfare, not really the movie that you come home from and you're like, I love life. I love movies. I feel so good. So let's talk about Warfare a little bit and how we felt about this movie. What are your thoughts, Ben, on Warfare?
It feels like a weird movie to say this about, but I loved it. Like I thought it was great. I thought it was so well done. I think obviously in large part that's with Ray Mendoza, who's one of the directors and writers, having lived this. And there's just something that if you lived through it, you have a perspective that nobody else has, which I think this movie is what separates this movie from a lot of others. Like, yeah, he's not like Spielberg doing the storming the beaches. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to get that kind of cinematography or filmmaking, but there's the different aspects of it that I really loved about this, which is just like the mundane, the sitting around and waiting, the nothing going on. Even just like how we see the guys bonding at the beginning of the movie, all that kind of stuff. It's just like you're not privy to that unless you lived through it, basically. So I think this did a great job showing that as someone who like didn't serve in the army or anything, but I can only take it as being genuine and sincere. And I thought it was wonderful. It was yeah, I don't know. It was great. It scared me a little bit. Like I kept
Yeah.
waiting. There's a lot of times where for me anyways, I was waiting for something to happen and nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept building the tension over and over and over again. Where it's like, oh my God, someone's gonna get sniped right now or something, you know what I mean? And then it's just like, nope, no, just we'll just get to the next scene. I'm like, oh, okay, fuck. Like, all right, this is great. So yeah, and the action was handled well. Um, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good.
I agree with a lot of what you said, um, except the fact that I think I was a little disappointed by Warfare.
Okay.
I think I'm a little less in the enjoying camp, and it is a hard movie to talk about, obviously, because like Ray Mendoza is an Iraq vet, like he
Yeah.
did go to war, and this movie is based off of him and his like squad's memories, and basically
Mhm.
they recreate what they remember about that day, and it's incredibly effective. The sound design is unreal. And obviously, as we get further into this conversation, we'll talk about Alex Garland, we'll talk about Civil War and kind of like what he's doing and what is interesting to him. But the sound design, I think, is incredible stuff. I think it's really, really, really impressive.
Yeah.
And I do think, like exactly what you said, I was in the same boat where I was just like waiting and waiting, and exactly what I thought. I was like, someone's gonna get sniped, someone's gonna die. What are we gonna do? And nothing happens. And I think that is ultimately part of the construct that Mendoza and Garland try to do here is basically say like, this is what war is. Like it's not Call of Duty. You're not just like
Yeah.
actively taking people down all the time. Like you're fighting for your life. That is what they are
Mhm.
doing. And so in the 96 minutes that this movie lasts, like it is continuous. It is exactly what they're trying to do in the mission. And there's not really like any particular dramatized narrative. There's really
Yeah.
just like it's just these guys, and they are just like trying to basically support another unit in Iraq, do basically like some little mission, I guess.
Mhm.
I have not gone to war. I frankly don't have any interest in war or guns or fighting or anything like that. I do think it's important to mention, like this movie coming out now in an administration that is wanting to get back into the Middle East in times in which there are like human genocide activities happening. I think that's important. I think that's
Mhm.
important. I'm not really here to discuss those things. I'm more so here to talk about the movie and like the film and what it does as a movie. But I do think that's like worth noting as like kind of the whole picture. So there were a lot of things that I liked. I just like, I don't know. It's just like not, maybe it's just like not for me, you know?
Okay.
I
Was
don't
it more of
know.
like the respect camp, less of the like camp kind of thing?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like I heavily respect what we're doing, and I think it's pulled off really, really, really well. I just don't find myself like I've thought about it, and the more that I think about this movie, the more that I am like, dang, they got something right, because like I'm
Mhm.
thinking about it. I was startled by it. Joseph Quinn in this movie screams are absolutely ghastly and
Dude.
blood curdling
Yeah.
and just crazy stuff. So like that means something. But when the credits rolled, I was just like, oh, not going to revisit that. But maybe that's the point, right? Like maybe that's what they're trying to get across here.
Yeah, I do think it's that level of like realism versus even wartime fantasy or wartime whatever that
Mm-hmm.
we see in movies, which is like you said, Call of Duty, just like constantly under attack and running and doing all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, a lot of it's just like communicating with other people and just like
Yeah.
like slowly walking places and being directed to like go cover
Mm-hmm.
upstairs. Like it's just that kind of shit. And then there's just the impending possibility that something can happen that's just lingering over everything. And that's where like the tension comes from. where you just don't know, like, is someone going to attack them or whatever. It's, for me, yeah, it was effective for me. I was just like, this shows the very real side of, you could just die at any moment, and it's
Yeah.
crazy, like it's nuts. As someone who was 18 when 9/11 happened and was very worried about a draft coming, I was like more than ready to bounce to Canada or wherever. I'm like, I'm not fucking dying for like something for someone else. This is crazy. And I respect like all the people that have signed up and have done that and put their lives on the line. Like, I think that's amazing, but just like, this just solidified that for me. I'm like, I was not cut out for this shit. Like, there's no way I could have done that. And you get moments, I think, of realness from these people, which is so interesting, because there are times where people get told like, okay, you're the lead, you're gonna go out first, and you can kind of see it in their face, like, oh fuck, but it's like, you have to, like, you've been assigned that position. You can't be like, I don't really want to. It's like, doesn't matter. Like, you've been instructed to do this, or you and one other person, you have to go outside onto the balcony and take cover, like, and you're going to take fire from people, but you just have to do it because that's what you were tasked with doing. So it's a movie, I think, it talks about how strategic and everything war is, but also just how kind of senseless and pointless it is. And we'll talk about some of these scenes, but I think towards the end, it kind of shows us like, oh, we're like, everyone was kind of going through this stuff, which is crazy to think about, like the whole, both sides of it all.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that this movie is effective in communicating that. I think one of the interesting things that like is going around is a lot of takes of this movie are like, oh, it's apolitical, it doesn't really have a stance. And like, we did this discourse with Civil War. Like, we did it. I don't think it's inherently apolitical. I don't think it's like necessarily obviously putting a narrative like, right in front of your eyes and being like, war bad. But like, I think the point here is that like, all of the reviews that I'm reading and thoughts from people are like, I'm pretty shaken up. Like, it's pretty traumatic. And like, I think that's the point. And so I think it is getting a lot across about that. You mentioned like this kind of authoritarian idea of like, okay, you're in charge. Okay, you need to go out first. You need to cover this room. You need to do this. That's just how it works, which is crazy. It's crazy. I was going to ask you, like, do you think you could fare in the war? And you answered that question, and my answer is also no. Like, I'm not cut out for this shit. I could never, ever, ever. So I really like a lot of that stuff. The one thing that I did want to say is like, when I was watching this, I obviously kept waiting for something to happen, and I was like, okay, when is this going to turn into warfare, right? And I think that is a fascinating topic about this movie, because it's obviously titled Warfare. It's being billed as the most realistic depiction of war in cinema, like to date, the most accurate depiction of cinema. It's getting a lot of respect and reverence for this, like Ray Mendoza is recalling and recounting exactly what happened. And it is getting, like you said, from service people, like a lot of accurate remarks of like, this is what we do. This is what it is. Like, a lot of these things are like, it's that new guy energy, or it's like, oh, we just, we got to talk about this, or like, we just kind of keep poking and prodding and intent to probe and all of these like terms and things that are like very, very real. But it doesn't turn into warfare until like 40 minutes into this movie. We are literally watching and waiting and understanding their bond as like a brotherly unit, and it doesn't turn into war until later. And so like, that kind of overarching idea of like warfare is not, it's not just war. And so I think that's something really important that this movie is doing. Before we talk about the scenes in particular, I do want to talk about the cast of this movie, because I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting cast. Cosmo Jarvis plays Elliot. Will Poulter, who we talked about last episode for Death of a Unicorn, plays Eric. We get Charles Melton as Jake. Joseph Quinn plays Sam. Kit O'Connor plays Tommy. And then Michael Gandolfini plays Lieutenant McDonald. Noah Centineo is in this movie as well, which is kind of crazy. And there's a guy that looks identical to Austin Butler that's also in this film. That I just couldn't help but notice. Good cast. Do you think this cast worked for this movie?
I mean, yeah, I think it did. I don't think this played too much into, I had my dumb MCU brain was like, oh, it's Adam Warlock and Johnny Flament. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like there's that side of it. I was like, I wonder if they talked about that. Like, what's it going to be like? But there's a lot here, and I think it's a good cast and a good mix. I know we've talked about all the people that other people may know, but kind of our lead, DeFaro Wunatai, I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he was fucking great,
Incredible.
and that's Ray Mendoza. That's Ray. They kept all their real names and stuff. So that's who, the director is, playing in that character. So it kind of makes sense that he's kind of our protagonist throughout this, but, did a wonderful job, held his own. And I think everyone really performed. I mean, we get, what's his name? Just like for the last third or something like that, Charles Melton. I mean, we don't have him really throughout the whole thing, but once he shows up, he kind of takes over quite literally and controls it and does a great job. So I think it all worked. There wasn't too much of just like, oh, they just brought in Will Poulter to have like, a pretty famous person in it or whatever. And like, no, Will Poulter fucking owned. He was great.
Yeah.
I think he did a wonderful job. What do you think? Did you like the cast?
I did. I liked the cast quite a bit, actually. I was a little dubious of it at first because of all the marketing that's been going on with this movie. And like, I guess the entire cast got matching tattoos and like the camaraderie in the community. Obviously that is a very large aspect of this movie, especially when it comes to war and like getting that point across. So I was a little bit like, I don't know. And then I actually think it worked quite well for this movie. I think Charles Melton going from May December to Warfare is just a fucking swing, which I respect and is incredible stuff. I talked about Will Poulter last episode doing Death of a Unicorn and how like he's had kind of a weird career and what I would like to see him doing more. This is exactly what I want to see Will Poulter doing. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what I think he is most effective doing. I do think he's like very good at the comedy that he does in Death of a Unicorn, but it's so pigeonholing where in this movie, we'll talk about it, but in my opinion, he has the most emotionally riveting scene of this film.
Yeah.
That I think he delivers flawlessly. So I loved seeing him in this role. Kit Connor is from Heartstopper, and my wife is obsessed with Heartstopper, and so she was just like, Nick is in this movie, and I was like, I don't know who that is.
Shout out
and
Nick.
Joseph Quinn. I thought Joseph Quinn really good in this movie.
Yeah, if anything, I felt like he was underutilized maybe a little bit, or I just expected him to have a bigger role, but I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely agree. And then Michael Gandolfini, it was hilarious when he popped up on the screen. I was like, that's Michael Gandolfini. I'm like pretty positive. But then as the movie goes, I'm like, is it? And then I'm like, no, it definitely is. He has like a massive mustache in this film. It is unreal, but I just bought all of the cast. So that worked for me. That worked really, really well. Anything else you want to say generally before we talk about true cinema? I did want to quickly say budget, $20 million. It's made $8.3 million through its first 5 days. We are recording this a few days before the pod will come out, so we don't have like a full week of box office numbers. But pretty good, I feel like.
I feel like that's pretty solid, especially for the budget and for A24 and for what this is. I'm optimistic, that it'll at least make its money back. But I think that Alex Garland name does carry a little bit of weight with the right crowd. So I know he's putting some butts in seats, which is great.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the Alex Garland of it all now, or should we table that conversation for post?
No, I say let's talk about it. I mean, he's been brought up and writer director on this project, and I think he had an influence on it for sure.
Yeah, I am curious, obviously, about kind of his trajectory here because he's done Ex Machina. Now, what is notable is that Warfare came out on the same weekend that Ex Machina celebrated its 10th anniversary. Really interesting there. He has made 4 of his 5 films with A24. Annihilation, not made with A24. I don't know who put out Annihilation, but I'm going to find out right now.
I wonder
I'm
why.
Fascinated. Because that's his second movie. Gets put out by Paramount. Interesting. Really, really interesting. So he does Ex Machina. He does for A24. He does Annihilation 3 years later for Paramount. And then he comes back to A24. He does Men in 2022. Civil War, of course, last year in 24. And then now Warfare. He's, with his last 2 movies, especially Civil War and Warfare, he's kind of going through this, I guess, this exercise of like, how much can you say without saying a lot? Which I think is important. I think it's an important exercise. And I think Alex Garland is really, really good at that. And I can definitely tell like his kind of influence over this movie. What else does Garland have cooking right now? Do you know?
28 years later with old Danny Boyle.
Oh yeah. We got 28 years later coming. And then he's also, so he's writing 28 years later, their reunion for the 28 later franchise. And then he's writing the script for 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which is the next film in the franchise as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's going to be interesting.
That is
28
so
days
fascinating.
later, great movie. Yeah.
Great movie. 100% great movie. Huh. Yeah. Alex Garland, fascinating figure in movie making. I think he's really good at what he does. And I like that. I also think like, part of the reason I was a little disappointed in Warfare is because I like Civil War so much. And I think that is like kind of my comp a little bit. Like, I know it's not the same thing at all. Like, we're not accomplishing the same task remotely whatsoever. But like, I'm a huge fan of Civil War, and I really, really enjoyed it. And so like, putting Warfare against that, they're 2 very different movies about war. And so maybe that was a little bit difficult on my end to kind of find the difference, in ground there.
That's totally fair. Both have great sniper scenes, without a doubt.
This is true.
Yeah.
Only one has Kirsten Dunst, though, so.
That's true. That would be great if she showed up in this. I don't know what role she would have been, but that'd been great.
The Alex Garland war universe. It's like where she passes by one of the walls momentarily. Yeah. Okay, let's break this movie down a little bit. Let's do some true cinema. Are you ready?
Ready.
There's really only a handful of things to talk about, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, we get the introduction to this movie. Now, it starts with this song called Call on Me and the radio mix of this song. And it starts with this music video in which basically there are beautiful women dancing. And it is a 90s music video, you can tell. And we see the entire unit kind of like hyping up, jumping around this music video, getting stoked, getting ready to go out to combat, getting ready to deploy, essentially. And I thought like they were not playing the right movie for a minute, because I was are we're sure? Like, this is how we're starting this movie? And then, of course, we see Joseph Quinn just like a madman jumping up and down in front of this television. And I was like, oh, interesting. I loved the way this movie started.
I love that we had such a different take on what they were watching, because I'm probably wrong, but I thought they were watching a porno. That was getting set up, because there was only one guy in that room and a lot of girls, and they kept cutting to the guy and just kind of the eyes that were being made at him. I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're just with a bunch of dudes over in Iraq and you're lonely and stuff, like, maybe this is what you do. I have no idea. But yeah, maybe it was just like to get amped up and get ready to go. But I was like, maybe like group porno watch is a thing. I have no idea. But that's funny. Either way, they were getting amped up.
Yeah. Either way, they were getting amped up. Look, I like your take. And I totally understand it. And I'm watching the music video right now, which is exactly what they're watching in the movie. And it is definitely giving off those vibes because the only guy in this class that they're doing, this dance class in the music video, is the only person in which the camera gets like 2 centimeters from his face and he looks like an absolute dingus. And the rest of the women are just squatting in one piece garments. And it's just, it's giving off very big porno vibes.
Who knows?
I will
Who
say.
knows?
I will say. Incredible music video, incredible way to start the movie. I will say, song of the summer, maybe. But I listened to it this morning and I was just like, goddamn, Warfare, kind of fucked up movie. That was when I watched, then when I listened to the song, I was like, that's my takeaway.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was a great intro to the movie because no one's ready for this. Like, no one's expecting this. As like you said, he thought maybe it was the wrong movie. Like, wait, what is happening right now? It's just like, I think this is what this movie does really well. Again, it's just like, it shows us the non-action aspects. And I think that's when these guys bond with each other, is when they're just sitting around or when they're just talking and all that kind of stuff. That's the different level of bonding that you create with people that you're in these situations with. So this does it in a funny way, but it just shows like, they're just fucking teenagers and 20-year-old kids, you know what I mean? And they're just like putting their lives on the line, but they've got to have a release somehow, you know what I mean? Whether it's just like dancing or whatever, or, you know, whatever they're going to do, but they've got to have some sort of something. So I think this does a great job of that.
Yeah. Along those lines and the vein of this, and I'm jumping forward just like slightly, but it's on my mind, is when a couple of them are talking. One of them is like on the sniper out the window and he's just looking through the scope. And basically that's all his job is. And the other guy is like, hey, by the way, someone took my Nike hoodie. So if you spot somebody in the scope with it, let me kill them and take my hoodie back. Yeah. And like they both chuckle to each other. And that kind of a thing is obviously like so specific from Ray Mendoza and like his experience that it is unbelievably frightening. That like that's just their world. That's like what it is, which is kind of crazy. Next, I have here on the list, breaking the wall down and basically infiltrating this home of an Iraqi family that has people living upstairs. And so they go upstairs, they break down the wall and find out that there is also a family living there kind of behind this like facade kind of a wall. And this family has 2 kids and they basically just like commandeer this house. And they're just like, we're American. We're not going to hurt you. But also, this is now our post. Like, this is what we're doing. This is, we're using your entire space. There's a lot there, like narratively, thematically, about what we're trying to accomplish. The whole both sides of the thing that, like you mentioned earlier, we kind of end on a very similar note in this movie of like, there is a wake left, right? Like this happens and it affects deeply the people that are involved, not only the American soldiers, but the families that are, their house is now destroyed. Like when we get to the end of this film. So that is fascinating and definitely affecting, I think, when you watch that and you're just like, oh, so this is the American industrial complex. Like this is the military industrial complex. Like we just get to take your home.
Yeah, it's that simple. You know, I mean, I think Will Poulter says, I like this house. And that's when they decide, like, this is the one we're going to take, like in the cover of night. You know, they just can do that. Throw someone over the fence and the wall, get the door open, and then everyone just goes in and just immediately commandeers this home. And the families that live there are just sequestered in this one room with the translators and just as guards, basically just watching them.
Yeah.
And we don't see them leave that room until the very end. So this whole time they're just like stuck inside there together. So yeah, definitely gives you the experience of both sides of this, of just how easily they can just take a house from somebody, and how easily, you know, you can be invaded, your personal space.
I find Will Poulter's character the most fascinating in this entire film because of kind of what you just mentioned of like, he makes the call. He is the leader of this bunch. So he makes the call. I like the house. He makes the call for a lot of other things. He makes the call of when they need like evac and when they need to go out for the tanks. And then he proceeds to kind of lose that mentality the further we go on. And so we realize like maybe he is not the impenetrable leadership force that he was in the beginning. He is exactly what you just said. He's just a boy. He's just a young man just trying to figure out how to do this. And so I loved that kind of aspect about his character. I mentioned the guy posting up. We kind of take a long time, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes here, where we basically just like watch them watch houses and watch people from across the street. One guy is in one room, Joseph Quinn's in another room. We got a guy on a sniper. We kind of have the guy, we've got Gandolfini kind of posted up on tech and comms, and they're like calling in for air support and different types of things of like where we're just like sussing out what we're doing. The reason that I mention all of this is because it kind of culminates in this moment where the sniper takes a break to get some more chew and to stretch. And then whoever hops on the sniper sees somebody go inside of the building across the street with a gun and pulls the trigger essentially to end it all right there, which really, really, really important junction in this film.
Yeah.
Does not happen because the safety is on. It's not his gun. He's not used to it. He didn't set it. He was just there in the meantime. That like happenstance of that guy needing to stretch at that very moment in which all of this could have been avoided is it's terrible. It's like absolutely crushing to know that.
Yeah, it is. It is just so interesting. This movie just shows us how the simplest decision can affect so many things. And this just happened to be like, oh, I'm out of like dip and I need to stretch my legs. So switch me, and then the what I'm assuming is kind of the backup sniper is just not as ready, I guess, as the first one. So how much of this could have just been changed if that guy had still been on there.
Yeah, 100%. So he misses the shot due to safety. And then we get the very first like big, like, okay, this is warfare. This is we're like getting into it now. One of these guys is pissing in a bottle and a grenade enters the house. And I found it really telling that the grenade entered the house and every single person just scrambled. They were just like, oh no, grenade in the house. Somebody rolled behind a wall. Bunch of guys tried to find cover. Like that obviously is so unexpected and so random, and it just happens at that time. Huge explosion. The very first like kind of big sounds we get of this movie.
Yeah.
Shaking stuff. Unreal.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it is amazing. This is, like you said, this is the first action, and we've spent the last 40 minutes waiting for someone to get sniped or someone to get shot at or whatever. And then it turns out it's just this hand throwing in a grenade, and you have like 3 seconds to react, like grenade, whatever. And people are trying to take cover, and then it explodes. It's like, oh shit, so this is the first action. So for me, it was unexpected. I wasn't ready for that, but I thought, it was shown so well. And yeah, just to see everyone like take cover and kind of instinctively worry about themselves. No one's pulling Captain America and jumping on the grenade. You know what I mean?
Right,
like
right.
No one's like, oh cool, I'll cover. It's just like everyone's like, no, get me the fuck out of here. Like, and that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, that is exactly what came to my mind. The MCU pilled world we live in is like someone could have jumped on the grenade, but like that is the reality. Is like, no, absolutely fucking not. Nobody's gonna do that. Nobody is Captain America. They kind of recollect themselves a little bit. All of them have different reactions to this explosion, and they basically like it's game time now. Like, we have to call in for an evac. We need to get out of here. Like, things are taking off. So this is kind of where it all starts to go. I have a handful of bullet points here. I'm going to miss some of the things that do happen in this movie, but the next one that I have is when they do all assemble. Tanks are called in. They got to wait 10 minutes for these tanks to get there to kind of escort them out safely.
Yeah.
They get to the tanks. They send out 2 guys initially which is absolutely diabolical shit that they send out the 2 translators first
Yeah.
and let them be out there and just wait to see if they get like murked. Like that's unreal. Everything's good. They call it safety. They all go out. Tank ends up basically blowing up from an IED. Everybody's affected. Everybody's in the streets. I found this sequence after the tank blows up to be the most interesting, the most effective, the most that I enjoyed this movie was like in the subsequent, I guess like 5 or 10 minutes after this, because we get some really excellent sound work here from Garland and his team of like these muted screams. And of course, like this is not the first time something like this has been portrayed in a film, but I think it is the most haunting that it has been portrayed. The screaming, seeing people that are like disembodied, not knowing what to do yourself, not really knowing what's happening around you. Yeah. And then eventually trying to like get pulled back into the house for safety. It's all so discombobulating. And like as an audience member, you also feel that because you're like, who is safe? Who has died? Like what is happening right now?
Yes.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. The sound design, like you said, is spectacular here. It's amazing. We're seeing it through each individual's perspective, like whoever's on the cameras, kind of like whose head we're inside. And everything for the most part is so muted, but you're still under attack a little bit. So you got to try to like bring yourself together to get out of the way, and get out of there. And then one of the more jarring things is suddenly it just cuts to the actual audio and we just hear the screaming at full volume, which is like, crazy. Oh my God. Like it's crazy. It's jarring in the best way. It's so effective. But yeah, this is, I think, what people assumed the whole movie was going to be, is this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why this is like one of the most effective scenes throughout the film. But yeah, I thought just done so well.
Yeah, the yelling from Quinn is pretty unreal in this movie. The next bullet point I have here is the show of force. So they basically do this twice in the movie where they call in for support from like overhead or of like flying jets that are like in the area. And they're like, hey, we need a show of force. And basically this jet just comes down and like wipes its way through the main street of where they're at. Basically they're on one side, the enemy is on the other side, and they just like blow wind and dust through this main street. My theater walls were shaking. It was so unbelievably loud and so jarring and freaky. And I think it was really cool that we got to experience that twice in this movie.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was some of the coolest part of the film was just like that first perspective of the show of force where the jet goes right over you and you see like the swirl of the dust and stuff coming up
crazy
the street. Like it just beautiful. Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah. So this is the point where they're in the home and they're basically trying to figure out like how do we evac, how do we get out of here, because like we're in an active war zone now. And 2 guys, Joseph Quinn, his character, and then I think Cosmo Jarvis's character.
Yeah, Elliot.
Yeah, Elliot is. They're down bad. Cosmo Jarvis, pretty lights out in this movie, I will say. Like, I'm excited for him to be in more things. He was most recently in the Alto Knights, which I think is getting a lot of hate. It's not that bad. I think Cosmo Jarvis is great. So seeing him again in this movie was really cool. But these 2 guys are unbelievably injured. So bad. And so they ask for morphine. And they get morphine. And really a gut punch moment, I feel like, in this movie, where you're witnessing these guys in agony, absolute agony, and they just need morphine for a little bit of relief to figure out, how am I going to survive until I can get out of here? And then Gandolfini's character gets the morphine out, and he goes to put it in Cosmo's leg, and he goes, oh shit. And somebody's like, did you fuck up? And he's like, yeah, I put the morphine in my thumb. And I'm just like, oh shit. Like, they don't know what they're doing. They've never done this before. They have no idea what's happening. And now this guy's all juiced up on morphine, and hopefully they have enough. They have 2 more like shots to go around to these other guys. And it's kind of crazy that happens.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone's just so out of it that you don't know what's happening. And honestly, Elliot, for 10 minutes, you think he's dead. Like there's
I thought he was
no
dead.
sign of
I was
life,
like
right?
positive that he was dead. And then he just
Yeah.
catches a big relief breath.
When Ray kept saying we have 2 guys down, 2 guys injured, like, man, you keep telling yourself that, but that one dude is gone. Elliot is gone, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's it. And that was so interesting too when he kept saying, like, calling on the radio, like, we 2 people severely injured. And is it Jake? What's the character? I forget his name. Joseph Quinn. Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
Sam's like,
this
who
I
is
wanted
it?
to bring
Who,
this
like,
point up. This is good that you're talking
yeah,
about
who's
this.
severely injured? Is it me? Is it me? He's like, no, man, it's not you. Don't worry. It's not you. But it's like, yeah, man, it's fucking you. Like your legs are fucked. And then just watching them like jam the gauze into their like legs and stuff like that. It's just, it's so, yeah, this is, to me, this movie's, if I had one word to describe it, it feels visceral. Like it just feels like you are there. You can feel everything that's happening in the worst way, but it's so effective.
Yeah. And so next bullet point kind of goes into this point. I have the it's just a paper cut. I have this listed here on the thing. So Charles Melton and his squad, they get called in for backup essentially. And now we've got these 2 recon units. They've kind of amassed into one single big unit together. So once they get there, there's this fucking guy that comes in here and Sam, Joseph Quinn's character, is, you know, we are experienced with him being like, who's injured? Is it me? And his buddy going like, no, it's not you. Don't worry. You're okay. You're okay. Really supportive, really helpful, finding a way to put him at ease and to calm him and to get him through this, right? This motherfucker comes in here and I found this again, like just a riveting insight into how war works and how the structure of a group like this really works in the dynamic. Because this guy comes in and he's like, yo, that ain't nothing. It's just a paper cut. It's just a paper cut. You're going to be fine. Like, let's go. And the other guy is just like, shut the fuck up. Like, you have got it. Like, people are kicking him. People are being reckless around him. And he's like, yo, you guys have to calm down. And the guy does it like again. And he's like, yo, this is nothing. Don't worry about it. And my knuckles were white. I was just like, what is going on? Like, why can you not see the scene? But it's a great insight into like, there are just guys like that are just like so fucking juiced up on war, on being in a battle scene that they just don't care what's going on around them. Meanwhile, we've lived with this guy injured for like over an hour now. And we're like, this is as bad as it gets.
Yeah, dude, just, you know, the epitome of man up. You know, he's like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. You're going to be great. It's just, and Ray's just like, this is not what he needs. So he does not need this kind of reassurance. Like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. Get out. Like, yeah, when they like accidentally kick him and stuff, like, oh my God. Like, you guys
brutal. Unbelievable.
Oh, Jesus. But you said that he's just so juiced up on war and doing all that kind of shit. Just not paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's just crazy. Like that whole sequence is probably like 25 minutes long, and it feels like a lifetime that you're living all of these things. Okay, I only have a couple more here impersonating the CO. Now, this kind of goes into what I was talking about with Will Poulter's character. He kind of has a breakdown, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I can't figure it out. And people are like asking, before he has a breakdown in his own separate room, like people are asking him like, do you want me to do this? And he's like, I don't know. And then he goes into a room and basically has a breakdown. Charles Melton's character comes in and he's like, what's the call? What do you want to do? You're in charge here. And he's like, look, I need you to run point. I can't do this. I can't figure this out. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. And then we get to a point where basically they call for support and an evac. And the people on the other end of the radio are like, we need a CO like approval because it's too risky because the last tank blew up from an IED. And that's when they're just like, you got to impersonate the CO. Like you got to do this because we got to get the fuck out of here. And I thought there was going to be a lot more drama surrounding this. And I guess the movie, like I give it a lot of respect for not dramatizing anything about this because it was just like, you're right. Okay, will do. And the guy just like kind of changes his voice on the spot and is just like, okay, we're good. Like we got it approved.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like that's insane that these guys are dying and there's this fucking red tape that they have to cut through. And they figure it out.
Yeah, and like you said, I really appreciate they didn't dramatize it and make it into this whole thing. You know, it could have been its own 5-minute scene or whatever. It's just like with the CEO coming on and then them negotiating and blah blah blah. It's just like, no, the way it happened is we just pretended and they were like, okay, great, and that was it. It's
Yeah.
like, cool, that's awesome, that's way cool
Sick.
that you pulled that off. Fantastic job, that was
Yeah.
wonderful.
And then they get out. They get out in the tanks. Tank comes back. They find their way out. They blow the C4. They blow the building. They demolish it. They get out in the tank. And basically we're just left with this tank gone, this trail of dust, and all of these Iraqi, like, I guess, citizens with guns,
Yeah,
like kind of coming out into the open and being like, this is over now, I guess. And that's it. And then the credits begin to roll, and then we get real life pictures, real life video. We get a bunch of stuff from like the movie behind the scenes, the training, all this stuff kind of like put in. And then we get all of these, pictures of actors and who they were portraying. A lot of these guys blurred out. And I think it's an interesting creative decision to link it back to this all happened. This was all real. And this is just our way of telling you this. I thought really smart.
yeah, and I mean, even at the beginning of the movie, it's like this is all based off of memories.
Mm-hmm.
So it's letting people know like this is as accurate as it can be because we lived it. But I love seeing the real life photos at the end. Everyone who had a mustache in real life had a mustache in the movie.
Yeah.
Like they were pretty accurate with that stuff. But it's cool to actually see like Elliot, come rolling up in his wheelchair, visit the set. It's like, oh, so Elliot was like a legit, like real human being, is a real human being.
Yeah.
And it's cool that he came on set to see. Getting out of the tanks was such an interesting sequence. There's 4 tanks. The first 2 are to get the 2 injured guys out, and then the last 2 are to get everyone else out. And I just thought it was so interesting that Ray is helping one of the injured guys get into the tank, but then can't get out like over him, and so they just like shut the door and take off. And Ray calls on the radio. He's like, I can't come back. Like I'm trapped. Like he's like bummed that he is stuck in, and like, I think for a lot of us, like, oh great, I'm in, the tank. I'm
Safety.
safe,
Yeah.
but Ray's just like sad or disappointed that he wasn't able to get back out to like help his brothers, with the other tanks. So I think it's, speaks a lot to who he is as an individual. Great scenes though. It was very like intense.
I mean, as quickly as it begins, it ends. And that's the point of the movie, right? It's like, that's exactly like how all of this transpires. True cinema for me, I alluded to it earlier. It is the moment that Will Poulter's character has basically a breakdown. And it's like, I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I like Will Poulter doing things like that. And I think in a movie specifically like this, it works really, really well. So that is what I'm choosing, even though it's not one of the big bullet points that we have here.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. I think I'm just going to go mainly due to the sound design, but like that 5 minutes after the tank IED like blows up the very first time, that stuff was just so effective.
Yeah. The first time that you hear Quinn scream is wild stuff. I couldn't help but think fascinating, interesting that Joseph Quinn is in this movie in mid-April. Obviously, we have Fantastic Four coming out with Joseph Quinn being Johnny Blaze the Human Torch, and like I think that's good for him, like as an actor, to like kind of get out there a little bit. I think that's good for the movie. I think it's good for Marvel, and it does lead me to the quandary and the question that is for another pod for another time of like, this guy can actually act, and now he's going to go be in Marvel. And what is going to happen to his career? Maybe Fantastic Four for 15 years. Who knows? But at least he gave a good output for Warfare,
Yep, without a doubt. Yeah.
Okay, A1 Act. We're going to do movies with war in the title. We were going to do movies about war. Been done. Been discussed. Basic. We can't be so basic here. So we're going to do movies with war in the title. Obviously, Warfare. We've got Alex Garland's other movie, Civil War. Star Wars, I guess really any of them apply if you want them to. War Horse, War of the Worlds. Shout out Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg, making great stuff all the time. Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, World War Z, Lord of War. I haven't looked at this list yet, Ben. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Lord of War. Wow.
Nick Cage.
Yeah. underrepresented film. I believe Ethan Hawke is in that movie as well, if I remember correctly.
So, yeah.
War and Peace, The War of the Roses, Warcraft, This Means War, Punisher Warzone, The Tomorrow War. Oh, is that Amazon thing with Chris Pratt?
Yep, 100%.
Oh, wow. I'm just, I don't know what to think that you put that on that list. Charlie Wilson's War. Shout out Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Seymour, yep.
Yeah, you love to see
Gotta
it.
get him on the list.
Got to get him on the list. Bride Wars, Anne Hathaway. Good stuff, right?
Yeah, no
I don't know.
complaints.
Haven't seen it, but I know she's in that movie. War Dogs, War Games, War for the Planet of the Apes, Warrior, Savvy, and The Warriors. That is our short list. I know you mentioned trying to leave some things off for, the classic Ben play here.
Yeah.
But did the movie that you're going to pick, is it on the list?
I mean, in a way it is. For me, if I'm looking at this list, like what would I rewatch first, basically is what it comes down to. And it would be something that I watched on my most recent trip, flying on the plane. I threw on Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
Oh, I like that.
I love that movie so much. So that's what I'm going to pick.
Are you excited for Andor Season 2?
Yes, 100%.
I am also excited. I've been dying to rewatch Andor Season 1 in preparation. And now I'm dwindling in available days left before Andor Season 2 kicks off. And it's making me sad because I need to do that. But
I'll rewatch it.
I'm really excited for Andor. Okay, so you chose a Star Wars movie, and I was also going to choose a Star Wars movie. I'm going with Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Perfect movie. I mean, what do you want to say? Gonna have the big Last Jedi discourse if we want, but I love The Last Jedi. I will give a particular shout out here for Charlie Wilson's War. It's a pretty good movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a pretty good movie. Julia Roberts, really hot in this movie. Tom Hanks operating at a great level. Philip Seymour Hoffman doing wonderful things.
Yes.
I think there's a lot there. I also just want to give a shout out to War Dogs. I think an underrated film that I haven't seen in 10 years, so I could be wrong, but Miles Teller, I don't know. God help his career, but he was good in War Dogs.
Yeah. Whiplash, baby. Yeah.
Now he's in what? The Gorge? Tough.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Tough life for our boy.
That's rough.
Okay, let's do our A24 ranking for Warfare. What are you thinking? What are you going to go with?
I think I'm going to go with a real strong A-.
Whoa.
Wow,
That's really strong.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth between 4 and 4.5 stars for Letterboxd.
Woo!
So A- feels good for me.
That's smoking. Very impressive. Okay. Yeah, I respect that a lot.
I'm glad. We're 1 for 3, in my opinion, on the last 3 movies we covered. So I was so happy to enjoy one of these movies. Fuck yeah. Okay, great.
I'm so happy for you. I'm not going with an A-. I feel like I'm being a little harsh and people might get at me, but I'm going to go with a C. Solid C. I think this movie is effective. I think it does what it set out to do. It's just not for me. It's just not a movie that I found all that really interesting, and a movie that I probably won't rewatch. I just, I don't know. You just got to learn sometimes when things aren't for you, and this is one of those movies. You
hate America and you hate our troops. I think it's all it comes down to. So it's understandable.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
That's all I heard.
Do not support that in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, please get at me. Okay. Next week, we're doing The Legend of Ochi. Next episode, we're doing The Legend of Ochi, a movie that at time of recording has only been released in New York and LA, and they're already selling an Ochi doll on their website. I don't know anything about this movie. Haven't watched the trailer. Frankly, it looks deeply uninteresting to me. But I could be really wrong.
I feel the same. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping this is more interesting, but Defoe hopefully will at least be entertaining. Fingers crossed.
I hope. I guess.
Also,
I don't really know, man.
They started making that Death of a Unicorn horn right away too. So I don't know that it's a great sign that they're selling this plush doll right away. Also, so who knows?
Yeah, not good.
Buy it before you see it. Kind of thing.
pretty much all of my mutuals on Letterboxd that have seen it at festivals. I believe it played at South by Southwest. Gave it like 2 stars. Not looking ideal.
Cool.
Not looking ideal for The Legend of Ochi. And then we're going to be tackling Friendship after that, which
nice.
I got to be honest with you, that's going to be a great conversation.
I can't wait. I think it's going to be so fun. So, yeah, let us know what your thoughts are on Warfare. We are on Twitter and Instagram at 24 minutes of A24. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can watch our beautiful faces when we talk about these A24 projects. Thank you, everyone, for your support. We really appreciate it. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.